Well, Razorback fans, there seems to be some sort of disconnect on people understanding how these coaching searches work in college football, especially at a place like Arkansas. I'm going to give you a little insight on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday, as we will do a little crossover action with Locked On Mississippi State. We'll do that in the second segment, do a previewing of, yes, the game that has to be played. And we'll also get into some crazy madness going on with LSU and their coaching search, because now the governor's gotten involved. And, oh, buddy, it was a pretty wild thing. And it's kind of, I can make it relevant to what Arkansas has going on right now. But it's just funny to me because, you know, I'm not saying that nobody cares about this Arkansas-Mississippi State game. You may not. It's just not what's on people's minds. I really think that the Auburn game this past week changed a lot of people to where they've given up on the year and they're just going to move on and wait for the coaching search. Now, it's not to say they've given up as far as not watching the game or not going to be at the game, because I'm going to be at the game. I'm still going to be at the game, still going to tailgate, still going to have a good time and hanging out with people and friends. So it's just a little bit different nowadays. But the thing is, that when the coaching search comes into play, it's about the information. We talked a lot about it yesterday as far as like who to believe, who to know, who to trust, who to discuss certain things, just all of that stuff. Like, how do you know how to go about it and everything? And I got a lot of good feedback from it, but I wanted to continue to try to build upon that and give some more insight into some things surrounding it. Because I want to be very transparent and also very clear. I am not an expert in the field of coaching and coaching searches and hires. I'm not. I'm never going to claim to be. I have not been in the negotiations with athletic departments and coaches. I have not been, there with agents when they're getting the call from athletic departments or anything like that. It's not the case. But I will say that over time, I've been able to talk to some people who have been involved in some of those pretty intense situations and being involved when dealing with the agents and all of that. And it's pretty enlightening to know just how a lot of this goes. And I'm going to try to connect this with Arkansas and give you maybe a little bit of advice or at least a little bit of insight into how it's going over there. Now, I also want to make clear on this. I know I'm making a lot of statements here, but I want to be clear on this. I'm not saying that this is exactly how it's going for this one. I'm just trying to give you maybe a bit of basis, a little bit of an idea of what it looks like and how it goes. But I can tell you this, the idea that these coaching searches are for Arkansas, that they just cast this wide net of names for coaches, is just not true. There's not an idea of, all right, well, we have a top 25 list of power rankings of coaches we want. And as soon as we fire the coach or as soon as we start looking, we're just going to cast the net and start talking to all of them. And we're going to go down the list one by one by one. It's not how this works. What usually happens in these particular situations is that you have, whether it's the athletic director or the board of trustees or the donors or all the above, it's not just a one-man crew. It's a pretty intense thing and a pretty collective thing depending on the situation. But in Arkansas, for sure, is collective, because I think the money is going to be more involved in this one than ever. What they do is that they basically say, okay, here is our number one guy. This is our number one guy that we believe we can afford, that we believe we can lure, that we believe would do great. It's not saying like Nick Saban. It's saying within the realm of possibilities and the one that they really want to hit a home run on. And so they got their number one. And then after that, it's usually the number two guy of, okay, well, this, or maybe it's 1A, 1B. It could be as simple as that. But the number two guy is usually not as far off. It's not like this huge drop off between 1 and 2. They're very close. And then after that, it's either just one or two people, or The third option, which is very common, is where the agent who is representing your one option or two option or both options hears about the fact that, okay, well, I see how much they're wanting. I see how much they're thinking. So maybe I can't deliver you on your first choice, maybe not even your second choice, but your third choice. I might be able to deliver on that. And since I know the type of money and the type of situation you're working with, I can go talk to him and I think I can make it happen. So it's a very short list because now, again, some places just screw it up. I think Texas was one of those that before they hired Sarkisian, it was like a million different coaches were getting named publicly and being reported on. So it is different in other places. But at a place like Arkansas, it's a very short list. And the reason being is because you do not want to show your hand too much, especially in the early goings. So if you keep hearing about like, oh, I'm hearing this name, this name, this name, this name, this name, this name, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Now, they can move on from those names if that person says no, or if they are asking for too much money, then they may move on to another consideration. But as far as the start goes, and in the early stages, like where Arkansas is at right now, the early stages, it's very apparent that it's directed at one person or or two people. You know, I talked about the James Franklin angle on Monday. That's a real thing. That's a realistic possibility, and that is a big name that Arkansas is looking at and possibly wanting to make happen. It's not to say that they for sure will, but it is one of those coaches that's being mentioned. And after that, you know, is there somebody else? Is there a 1A, 1B? Is it a James Franklin and that's it, and go big or go home? My understanding is that whoever that other coach, that name may be, the same representation is kind of going hand in hand in there, which we all know who that is, Jimmy Sexton. But honestly, that's the best person to go through because the last time I checked, Jimmy Sexton represents a lot of insanely talented coaches, and he's kind of the guy of like, hey, if we can't get this guy, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? So you have to have that good working relationship with Jimmy Sexton and everything like that. The other thing is when people start bringing up what they've been hearing, you know, because I do this sometimes, but when you bring up what you've been hearing, you also got to look at it in a realistic approach. Because there's sometimes if a coach gets mentioned, it's like, and it has some steam or has some insight and then some insider information and everything. You got to look at it in the rational perspective. Okay. So this is what I mean. Say if you know that Arkansas is aiming this high and they have a James Franklin and they have this amount of money that they're going to spend. Okay. But then you hear that, oh, there's also some interest in PJ Fleck. You know, or there's also some interest in Gus Malzahn. You start to be like, okay, so wait a minute. You know, James Franklin's way up here, but then you're saying PJ Fleck, who I have nothing against PJ Fleck, but PJ Fleck has been pretty irrelevant. He's done okay at Minnesota. But you're saying you're going to go from up here to down here, right? There's a hierarchy to this. It's not going to be as simple as, well, we're going to be willing to pay that much money, go all in on this type of caliber coach. But the other option is a coach that's so far down on the list that nobody else really even wants to hire him at all. What? You got to look at it rationally. You got to look at it that just doesn't make sense. It starts above here and then you go down the list. There may be other names involved eventually. But as far as a lot of those things, those are just games getting played by agents, by maybe it's a coach that wants out of their current situation. And they're just like, hey, see if anybody, you know, you throw the bait out there and see if anybody takes it to give you an opportunity. Because to me, that would be what PJ Fleck's situation is. Dude's been at Minnesota forever. I think he's lost a little bit of shine and he's just finally trying to maybe get something out of the lasting impression that he has and to make it work. So maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the approach that they have. But also, you know, when it comes to the negotiating and plane tracking and all that stuff, again, it's done in the shadows. It's not done in the way that you think. It's not done in the way that everybody just assumes that it's happening, that they're just having these sit-down meetings over cigars and brandy and just being, oh, you're a stitch. We got to get you on the Anderson account. You know, it's not that. It's very cryptic. It's done in the shadows, and it's done in a way that, you know, is very low key because nobody wants it to get out. Like the universities don't want it to get out of who they're talking to more often than not. The agents don't want it to get out because that could ruin their leverage in negotiating. Same thing with the coaches and same with the universities. Like the more public that things come out, it could either, sometimes it helps your negotiation, sometimes it helps your leverage. But if you're serious about it, and a lot of times it hurts. So it's not something that they just go out and, celebrate and be like, hey, by the way, like the NFL, they say, we have conducted an interview with so-and-so coach. We will keep you updated. I mean, yeah, sure, that'd be nice. But I've always felt like if you're going to do a coaching search in the real legitimate way, you need to do it like an Animal House when they're watching, when they're going through the pledges and be like, hey, yeah, we need the dues. And then as soon as they find someone they don't like, they start booing them. Just do that at Razorback Stadium. And I think that'd be the best way to have a coaching search. Find out who the Razorback fans want. Go through the slideshow up there in the Jumbotrons and just base it on a crowd noise or boos. And you can find out who you're not. But the last thing I'll say about this as far as the approach and about what goes on behind the scenes and everything, because I really want Razorback fans to enjoy the process of coaching search because there is a bit of fun in it. But there's also a lot of things that a lot of us don't even understand and the patience of it. And this is the last thing and maybe the most important thing, timing. Timing is everything. There are some of you, not all, but there are some of you who are like, why haven't we had a coach just yet? There are some of you of why is no one being mentioned? There are some of you who are, why is the athletic director still employed? Like there's just so many things that you keep bringing up that you're just like, why is this not happening? Why, if it's going to happen, what are we doing here? You get so upset about it. My only counter to that, my only argument to that is just be patient. Timing is everything. Timing and when things happen, why they happen, and the way that they happen. There's a reason for it. It's like Ecclesiastes 3:1 says. There's a reason for it. There's a timing, and you just got to be patient. I know that's not what you want to hear. I know that sucks. I know you want to freak out and go crazy, but just be patient. Hang back, kick back, relax, and let's see how it plays out. But I'll tell you this, and this will be the final thing. What I'm hearing, I'm going to be that guy. What I'm hearing are really good things. I mean that. Really positive things about not only just the approach that they have in the coaching search, but also the approach that they have in the new wave, the approach that they have with the NIL, the approach that they have with the funding, the approach that they have with the culture, the approach that they have with the winning mentality. The intentions are there. The movement is there. You got to execute it. But from all I'm hearing, it's good stuff. So I'm just hoping that it gets executed the right way. We'll keep you updated on it, of course. But we are going to do a little Arkansas, Mississippi State action. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, the NBA is back, as well as college basketball, the good stuff with basketball. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth-quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com and sign up today and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
And as I said before the break, I'm joined by John Nabors of Locked On Razorbacks to preview the game for this week. And John, what's your thoughts on the game?
Well, I would really care about this game a whole lot more if the season wasn't complete and total loss. And I think Razorback fans kind of feel the same way. Listen, it's a game that it's ironic that the last SEC game that Arkansas won was against Mississippi State, and the last game that Mississippi State won against an SEC opponent was Arkansas. Yeah. And the last time that the Bulldogs came into Fayetteville, it was my brother in Christ, a game that ended 7-3, and I was there to witness it. So, to be honest, it's like I felt like Arkansas, if they were going to win a game and really get something going under Petrino, was going to happen last week against Auburn, because Auburn was also a team that matched up what should have been for Arkansas. But Mississippi State, I honestly don't know. Is this when the team let goes of the rope? Is this when they kind of give it all up? I don't know. But until I see Arkansas win a game, it's hard for me to really feel good about it.
Yeah, I think y'all would have rather Jackson Arnold stayed in that game last weekend, personally.
Yeah, I mean, well, what was so funny is like it was a game that Auburn scored one offensive touchdown and Arkansas lost by 9. I mean, it's just like, what? Okay. But that's Arkansas's MO. They just love whatever team plays right here, Arkansas loves to just play right there below them. That's how they do it.
Yeah, as for the Mississippi State side, fans are excited just because they are so close to that bowl berth that before the season did not seem like a possibility. Then you start 4-0 and you're like, oh, it's going to happen. And then, of course, you've lost 4 straight. So they have always kind of circled this game as the one that's like, okay, if we can win this one, and we hopefully do win that one, then I guess you got a chance. You obviously got to upset someone along the way. And they thought that upset was going to be last week against Texas, and they absolutely collapsed in the fourth quarter. Bad offense, bad defense, bad play calling, bad clock management. Everything was bad in that fourth quarter. They looked like the 2-10 team from last season. But no, they've done a lot of things well this season, despite the 4-game losing streak. I mean, we talked about it before the season. If you could go 4 or 5 wins, yeah, that's not great, but it's so much improved from the 2-10 season that you'd be happy with it. And so I think overall, once the season ends, fans could be happy, but I think right now they're really frustrated with the 4 straight losses. But we'll see if they can right the ship in Fayetteville. But I want to talk about the quarterback battle, because while you said that the season is kind of lost for Arkansas, TAYLEN GREEN is just special, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is special. But the thing is, he is the ultimate home run hitter, strikeout guy.
Yes.
I mean, it's incredible to where when his good is as good as anyone in the country. Yeah. When that game against Texas A&M, when he was busting out and he kind of got banged up a little bit, but the way he played and the way he was kept making plays, it's like, man, this is potentially one of the best quarterbacks in the country, especially with the combo of Bobby Petrino calling plays. But man, you see the bad, and that bad in the fourth quarter. I mean, Arkansas was bad in general as a team, but in the fourth quarter, when Arkansas had 4 straight turnovers, he threw 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter just to the same spot. It's like, man, it's so tough where he plays really well, but the second that something bad happens, or the second that he makes a bad play, it feels like the wheels come off, and it's really hard to get him back. I know Bobby Trino talked about him being a little bit banged up last week, but it doesn't matter. He is special. He is great, but if he's not feeling himself, if he's not confident in himself, it goes awry very quickly.
And how much do you think it's him trying to play hero ball? Because we've seen that, especially when defenses are really bad, you'll see a really good quarterback take chances that they normally wouldn't take, just because they know they got to score and they got to hit some home runs. Do you think it's more of that, or do you think it's something with him? What do you think?
I don't know if it's hero. I mean, it could be, because it's, obviously the turnovers and everything speak for itself. I'm thinking that it's a reversion. It's a revert back to, okay, well, I just threw a pick or I made a bad play.
Right.
So I'm going to go with a throw or a play that I made in the earlier part of the game that was really good, which in theory is great. But the thing is the defense makes adjustments, so when you're lining up in a certain play in a certain formation, they're probably looking to say, hey, this guy's probably going to go to this same play. And then they make a play on it. So to me, that's what it's been more so than anything, has been that element of not just, could there be a little bit of hero ball for sure. But to me, it's more about him just trying to do what's comfortable, trying to do what worked previously. And he tries too hard at that. He doesn't, and he's almost like it doesn't matter what the coverage is, what the play call is. It's everything. He's just like, well, I made that play before, so I can make it again. It just ends up being problematic that way.
Yeah, and those same kind of things are felt with Blake Shapen. I mean, they want a quarterback change in Starkville. A lot of the fans do, but overall, he's had a solid year. I mean, he's thrown for 1,906 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 picks, completed 66% of his passes. We talked about it going into this season. He's just a solid college quarterback. He's not going to be an NFL guy. He's nothing like that, but he's a solid guy. And when you have a lot of question marks around you and a team that's building, he's the guy you kind of want out there. However, having said that, you have him out there because he has all this experience, and he shouldn't be making the mistakes that the freshmen would make, like Mario Taylor or Luke Kromenhoek, who's a sophomore. The issue is he's been making those mistakes. So when that happens, that's why the quarterback controversy is there, because it's like, if we're getting the same mistakes from both players, give me the more talented player. So we'll see how he kind of bounces back. But last game was kind of a classic Blake Shapen game, because the stat line looks really good. He was really good through 3 quarters. And then him, as well as the whole team, it wasn't just him, just fell off a cliff in that fourth quarter. And that on top of the previous 2 games against Tennessee, against Texas A&M, where he really struggled. And so now that is having people talk even more about, should there be a quarterback change in Starkville.
Yeah, and I think what's weird for this game is if Mississippi State would have just held on to that game last week, which I know is the real big problem, I'm sure everyone's still steaming from over there, but it's like I would feel like, oh, Arkansas is about to get creamed because it's
Right.
that type of confidence building play. But when you lose, not only that, but lose the way you lost, that's
Mhm.
what is making both teams felt like they should have won last week. Of course,
Right.
Mississippi State was mainly because they had a huge lead in the game, and even
Right.
Arkansas had a pretty nice lead, but both of them blew it late in the game, and both of them were still over. So it's you're getting two teams and two fan bases that are kind of just hobbling into this game, but somebody's got to win.
Yeah.
So it's a very weird dynamic of how the vibes are for this one.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention the Florida game. That was another one that was rough for him. That a game they should have won also. They're in field goal range to win the game. He throws a late game pick. So they have felt multiple times that they were so close. Tennessee game goes to overtime as well. Other than the A&M game that was a blowout, all the other three SEC games have been very close, and Mississippi State just continues to find ways to lose. So what's kind of your thoughts on this? Because you got two teams that just find ways to lose games when they really shouldn't. What's your pick? Who do you think ends up pulling it out?
Well, it's so stupid because it's like could Arkansas win? Sure,
Right.
but they don't. Like they just don't, and they keep. Like, I've always brought up this. Like they play just a little bit worse than their opponent,
Yep.
and they don't play well at home. It's the weirdest thing, and
Mhm.
I feel like, and I don't know Mississippi State's situation currently as far as how the fan base feels, but second year of Jeff Levy, I feel like
Right.
there's still some trajectory. There's still some energy, some belief. But it's like after that game last week that Arkansas lost. I mean, they've already fired Sam Pittman earlier in the year, and then Petrino came in, which is still a wild thing that he's the head coach at Arkansas. And then, uh, everyone's like, okay, well, hey, you had close losses on the road to Tennessee by a possession, at home to maybe the best team in the SEC, A&M. You feel good, but then Auburn's a terrible football team, and you lost to them again. They had one offensive touchdown, and you lost by 9 at home. That's just unheard of. And so I can't pick Arkansas. I just cannot pick them to win this game. Uh, Mississippi State, I don't know what they're going to come into this game. Maybe they have a big letdown. I don't know, but I just feel like what's going on right now with Arkansas, they just refuse to win games, and this is going to be another one at home that they refuse to win.
Yeah, and I feel like this is going to be a shootout because while Mississippi State's defense has been much improved most of the year, that fourth quarter collapse and then the overtime makes you worried about the defense, and then especially Arkansas has a really good offense. I feel like it's going to be one of those games late that both teams just try to lose the game. They like trade turnovers or trade bad penalties. It's just going to be something like that. But I do think Mississippi State wins. I just think it's going to be a shootout, like 38-35, 41-38, something like that. And that's not something I probably would have picked earlier in the year. But now that I've seen the collapse of the defense for Mississippi State last week, and then obviously we know the struggles of Arkansas defensively. Hopefully Fluff Bothwell is back for Mississippi State. Sounds like he could be. If he's back with Booth, that's a really good dynamic running back duo. And so I think Mississippi State will find a way to win, or maybe they just don't do as much things to lose as Arkansas does.
Yeah, it's going to be who sucks the least is going to be the one that probably wins this game. But hey, listen, I'll take a shootout compared to again what we saw 2 years ago back in Fayetteville when it was 7-3. I mean that it
Yeah.
just still cannot believe that I witnessed a game like that. So at least here's the thing: is like I don't expect Arkansas to win. It's not going to matter if they win or not. Like it's not going to have any impact on their coaching search or anything. But if they could just at least be entertaining of a game to where it's a lot of offense, I'll take that. Just
Yeah.
make it to where I'm going into the fourth quarter somewhat still interested instead of just being like sorry that I even paid money to go see this crap. So that's all I ask.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a fun game,
Yeah,
whichever outcome. But all right. Well, thanks for joining me today.
absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. Well, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. That's as of August of 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
Okay, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I want to play this clip real quick. This is the governor of Louisiana, because we know that the situation down there is pretty dire with Brian Kelly and everything. I know it's not. This is not Locked On LSU. This is Locked On Razorbacks. But want to play this clip and just show you a little bit of how crazy it is, especially when you have a governor involved with a coaching search of LSU.
The first question is absolutely correct. We are not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. You know, I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. Because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. So, yeah, I absolutely. Who's that? No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Because what?
I just had to cut it off because I'm like, by the way, he's talking about Scott Woodward, the athletic director. He's like, no, he's not going to be hiring a coach. He's like, I'd rather have Donald Trump hire the coach. Only in college football, this league, man, only in college football can you have something as crazy as that. But it just means more, like this is something that I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever, but my goodness, dude. Like, you got the governors of Louisiana saying that. Well, I can imagine if that happened in Arkansas. If old Sarah Huckabee Sanders comes out and says, I can tell you what, under your check ain't making the hire and doing that. It's like, what? Whoa. But that's why college football is the best, man. Only can you have things like this happen. And it just shows you how important it is to people, how important it is. It could be with politicians, it could be whatever, but it makes me happy. It just makes me happy that there's still, only in this sport, can you have this madness, this chaos ensue. Appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter, John Nabors Show, for any questions, comments, concerns you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. See you then.